Hello, everyone. My name is Seraphi, and I'm happy to meet you all. Today, I'm joined by not one, not two, but three of my colleagues from the Guild of Gurus to talk about the upcoming KC Cup and all of the meta changes that we're expecting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. We'll be covering all of the decks that we think are powerful, all the decks we think are kind of roguish, and potentially some nerfs or skill adjustments that could be coming after the end of the KC Cup. For starters, I am joined by a longtime friend of the show, Khrome. Khrome, it's glad to have you with me.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back here.
All right. And then joining me as well is the man who is praying that he will one day reach King of Games, Goldmine.
Hello, everybody.
All right. And last but not least, a gentleman that has only been on my channel twice before, so you might not remember him, but the Black Feather Guru, also known as the Blackwing Guru or Crow. Crow, thank you
Hey,
very much.
hey, thanks for having me on. I like burps.
Absolutely. And it is not going to be confusing at all to have someone named Crow and someone named Chrome in the same channel. You guys will definitely know who I'm talking to each time. All right.
Definitely.
So we have a three-person panel, and this is going to be the most organized discussion I've had on this channel, and will definitely not be three idiots talking over each other for 30 minutes. Now, we have Chrome. I want you to go first. Chrome, please tell me what your experience has been like in Legend, and what decks are you struggling against?
Well, I guess it is relevant to mention that I am a little bit of a one-trick player. I play practically solo Gravekeepers, and of course, the decks that are giving more trouble are the ones we are going to expect. Surprisingly, Blackluster Soldier is a bit of a coin toss game for me. Mostly because whoever goes first basically wins. If I set off Necro Valley, Blacklisted Soldier can rarely set up a board of their own. But if they go first, there's not much Gravekeepers can do against three very big guys. And Tenyi has a very similar problem. It is very easy to disrupt Tenyi when you were going first and you get to have a head start on them. But it is not easy to do the same going second, especially when they can get such big boards so fast. Other than that, the meta has been sort of kind to me. Um, Rock hasn't given me much trouble, and I haven't faced many odd eyes, thankfully. But yeah, that's been my experience so far. If anyone else wants to take it away,
No, no, no. I will direct everything.
okay.
Okay. All right. I forgot to share my screen. I'm doing that right now. You guys have some reference to what we're doing. Okay. Thank you very much, Chrome. I really appreciate your introduction. Crow, you've been dancing around at Platt recently. Can you tell us about how things are going towards the end of the month at Platt?
Oh, so if like I really pushed, I don't think it would be an issue to get to Legend. Plat metagame is always interesting. Very non-competitive. But anyways, I'm using Blackwings. Blackwings, as you probably guys know, in Duel Links, it's terrible. Absolutely just bad. It doesn't have enough extension. If you get shut down at the start, you kind of just lose. There's a lot of disruption in the current meta for like monsters, stuff like Crackdown, Warning Point. Just got everything. I'm kind of praying that more people start picking up Effect Failure because Effect Failure doesn't really bother Blackwings. But currently, Blackwings actually have a turn one now. We can use a whole bunch of level 8s like the Tenyi Berserker, the Void Ogre Dragon, I think is the name. Stuff like that, which gives us an actual like competitive turn one. Well, on turn two, if you get started, it's really not an issue to just get going. If you draw a Simoon and another Blackwing and they don't draw enough disruption, you just kind of make Rakiris pop the entire board and just OTK.
All right, and then as far as matchups, how have your matchups been?
If I could stop facing rockets with their million and one traps, that would be absolutely great. Ursardic, I know are like super big right now. I'm not having the most amount of trouble with them, surprisingly. Like their big synchro monster like really works against guys that actually don't have levels, so like I don't really have to worry about that. Shooting Quasar can be annoying, like very annoying. But it's you can get around it. Uh, it's just as every metagame that like has a bunch of traps in it. It's tough for Black Wings. They really struggle against back row.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Goldmine, so you're playing Galaxy Eyes, and how has your climbing been?
You like that a bit, but yes, I am playing Galaxy Eyes.
Oh, I lagged. Did I lag for anybody else?
No, you were good.
Okay. How's your climb been, Gold?
It's been kind of rocky. I agree with Crow. Like, it's a toss up for me. It's not that it's rare that if I go first or second. It's really more that do I have more disruptions than they can put out black luster soldiers? Surprisingly, I can't get over their 3K beaters as often as I would like to. I think another problem for me is Alta Alta guys. Like I was gonna say Blue Eyes, but right now I've been pretty positive against them. But right now my biggest problem are both Black Luster Soldier and Alta guys because I don't really have that much removal for their back row.
Okay. So how has Ultra Guys been beating you? Have they been just removing your cards and then like are they making a link monster or what's their board look like?
Really, really just stalling me out with the traps,
Okay. Thank you.
removing my monsters and stuff.
All right. Okay, great. Well, that's a good kind of spread of everything. Obviously, I hit King of Games with Mech Lords. That was quite a fun experience. Um, didn't really struggle with much of anything. Um, kind of with BLS, it was kind of depended on whether they were running synchro monsters or not for me. Um, some of them were running the Magistus synchro monster, which I could just take and then kill them with Triskelion, and some of them weren't. And then it would be a question of whether they hit Cosmic Cyclone or not. Because if they hit Cosmic Cyclone, then they would go down to 3,000 life points. And again, I could just OTK them with Triskelion that sucked up a 3,000 attack monster. But if I couldn't OTK them, I usually lost. So kind of a very polarized deck. All right. Thank you for this discussion. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the big meta players. And let's start with Ubel. So, Chrome, what are your thoughts on the Eternal Bond skill, and have you ran into multiple Ubel players yet?
I haven't run into many, but the very few matchups I have with it have been what we discussed previously. I don't remember if we recorded that discussion, uh, but in case anyone who wasn't there or hasn't watched it, we suspected it was going to be very similar to a BLS situation where, with very few cards in hand, you can make a big board that is not precisely hard to deal with, but it does enough on its own to be scary and leaves you three extra cards in hand to be just staples. And I ran exactly into that. The very few games I played against a UBL player, um, I ran into it, and unlike BLS, my particular matchup was even worse because unlike BLS, they can do everything with the skill without using much of the graveyard. So even going second was not a good time for me. I had to open a very specific, very good hand immediately, or I was just done. So I'm not precisely looking forward for the new Jaden Obel skill to be meta. Uh, as a Gravekeeper's player, as a Yubel lover, yeah, I gotta grind to get that deck, I guess.
There you go. I mean, you don't have to grind much because Yubel and Neos are free, and Wiseman is free. So you basically just need like one or two copies of Kluger, and you're good.
Exactly.
All right. Goldmine, what have you thought about the Eternal Bond deck?
The Eternal Bond. Hmm. I don't really have much opinion on it. I have not fought as much as I would like to admit. But I do have an opinion on Blue Eyes.
Okay. All right. Sure. Well, let me pull up Blue Eyes real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Here's
I
a.
personally think
Oh, someone hit top 4 with Blue Eyes. That's hilarious. All right. Go ahead.
it's in the same position it was when Dark Side of Dimensions came for the selection. Not selection, the structure deck. It's, it may not be the absolute top pick, but I think people are hating on it too much. I think it has a lot of tools that will really hit you if you're not prepared for it. It's kind of like in the same position it was. You either prepare for it or you're not.
Okay. All right. And what would you suggest for people to get prepared for Blue Eyes?
Start running stuff like Warning Point. Like at this point, your deck should have cards like Warning Point or Ice Dragon Prison if you can afford it. But basically, start running stuff that can stop your opponent's attacks.
Okay.
Or oh, you continue.
So, for those of you that aren't understanding what he's saying, Ice Dragon's Prison doesn't target and also doesn't destroy. And Warning Point doesn't target. And it prevents an attack from resolving while also negating a monster's effects. Both of these cards can stop a Chaos Max Dragon that comes down unexpectedly. Go ahead, Gold.
And at the same time, I also believe you should be ready to. Well, I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, my original point is that I still believe you need to be prepared to take down a Blue Eyes deck.
Okay. Thank you very much for that information. All right. Well, this is probably going to be a popular topic, so I'll go ahead and I'll pass it to Crow. Crow, do you have any thoughts on the new Blue Eyes deck?
I've only fought it like once or twice, if I'm being honest, but I've always just disliked Blue Eyes. It seems like it is always there in every format, and I mean, like, it makes sense financially for it to be there for Konami, just because it's the popular fan favorite anime deck. I've always just it gets annoying fighting against same deck over and over and over and over again. Plus, this current version isn't doing it, but like eventually, I know they're just gonna end up with staple as they just slowly whittle out the rest of the deck, and then it's just like 15 traps and a couple of monsters, and
That's true. They did try and avoid that with this deck. You have to run 9 Blue Eyes cards.
yeah, but still, like they're gonna probably end up with like 11 to 12 traps at that point, and
That is
it's
that
just
is likely the case. That's true.
yeah.
All right,
I'm not a fan of Blue Eyes.
Crow. Sorry, not Crow. Chrome. Chrome, please.
I understood anyway. I like seeing Blue Eyes up. Um, Not because I do agree with a lot of Crow's points. It is a very simplistic deck. It's a deck that has a lot of tools that are not exactly fun to play against. But I don't know. Maybe it's the DM guy in me that really likes seeing it being on top. And
Speaking of which,
even
does Blue Eyes see play in Edison at all?
in Edison, no, not at all.
Ah, rip.
Sadly, no. It was way too early for it for the top world that it got later on. But beyond that, I do think uh, I don't know. I like the interactions I got with Blue Eyes. I like the way it's being played. I like the restriction on the skill. I think it may be it is going to be crowded with Blue Eyes because they only really got a couple new skills and a new card. So everyone who had a Blue Eyes deck before is going to come running back to the game to play their favorite deck again.
That is true, and I do want to highlight what you just said about the skill restriction. Uh, I have played Master Duel a lot, and honestly, like the until very recently, with like the release of number 62, the distinction between Galaxy Eyes and Blue Eyes was almost non-existent. The decks both play high-level dragons, special summon them as much as possible, and then exceeds into whatever rank 8 is good enough. So the fact that in Duel Links they have decided to restrict Blue Eyes from playing Exceeds monsters when Blue Eyes has never really been about Exceeds monsters, but they're really good at poaching Galaxy Eyes monsters. Um, is a nice change. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it also, if we get into the future of the game, it also makes sure to lock Blue Eyes from a lot of dangerous rank 8 monsters. I
Like
always
Drabs Move
forget the
Beyond.
name. Yeah,
Yep.
like I like the restriction. I like how the skill is designed. It doesn't do too much, in my opinion, and it restricts the deck enough that it can be an issue,
Hmm.
even with the new cards and skills and everything.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't think it's a bad deck or anything.
It's funny that we're talking about Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes. Who would have thought that late 2023 would be a ritual meta?
It's crazy, man.
That is actually a fair point.
All right.
For ritual enjoyers, this is your time to come to Duel Links and enjoy the blue card frames
I
that
am
are not
sure
broken.
that everyone who is watching this video has already joined Duel Links. Chrome, but okay. All right. Let's.
Gemini meta when?
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's go for BLS then, since we're talking about it. All right. Let's see. Uh, one first place and two second places and two top fours and a top eight. That this deck is well represented and everyone is playing Magistus in it. No surprise there. Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and give an official discussion about this first because this deck is important enough to warrant that, and then I'll invite you guys. All right. So Blackluster Soldier um, is a deck that focuses primarily around the skill the Soul of Light and Darkness, which I covered extensively in my first episode of Keeping Up to Speed. But basically, the the reason why this deck is so powerful is that it allows you to essentially use your graveyard as an additional hand. And then it also, because of the Magistus cards, which use the extra deck as their additional hand, allows you to play a bunch of extra deck monsters through Endymion. So you have Endymion drawing you cards, negating monster effects, destroying spells and traps. So basically, it can be, they can be a Pot of Prosperity, or it can be a Effect Veiler, or it can be a MST. And then it also is a body on the board that you can use to link summon into something like a Ferocious Flame Swordsman or a um, Nightmare Phoenix. Then you also have the Graveyard, which is going to act as your additional ritual materials, as well as your Light and Darks to summon for your high level 8s. So the actual cards in your hand, especially since you're drawing two extra cards with the skill allowing you to pre-preparation of rights, um, the actual cards in your hand are almost always going to be just hand traps, spells, and traps. And it is not uncommon for Blackluster Soldier players to set three and pass. It's shocking how much of a board they can build with a single card in their hand. Um, this is and this is a discussion that Chrome and Harmac and I had, which I don't think we came to a satisfying conclusion about in the skill issue episode of, do you want to encourage decks to all be such heavily back row focused, or do you want them to not be heavily back row focused, but then just not see any representation in the meta? Um, and it's not really, there's not really a good answer here. I don't think that Konami intends for Blackluster Soldier to remain tier 1. So I do think that after the KC Cup, we will see a change, and that change will have to be to the Soul of Light and Darkness, because, let's be honest, the cards themselves are bad. They're not going to limit any of these cards. The only thing I could see them potentially doing is I could see them potentially limiting Envoy at the beginning to 3 to line it up with Levianeer, which would kick out Crackdown and Compulse and IDP. Um, I'm not sure if that would be enough on its own, though. All right, Gold, you can go next.
I do agree with what you said. I do believe that. Wait, hold on. Let me. I do believe that what you said is mostly from the chat for others, but I do agree with what people said that this is a weak term, a tier 1 deck. But I think people are hang on. It's like Harping in the case. Can it may be a lower meta compared to what we have back, but right now it's still tier 1. It can fit all these staples. Your discussion of where decks should be back row heavy and meta relevant, that matters here because they can fit all the staples in back row. Set free and pass is fine as long as they get one card to start up their combos.
Yes, but do you think that's a good thing or not?
Do I think it is a good thing? No, but is it effective? Yes. And I think
Okay.
that's all that matters, really.
All right. Do you think that that this deck will get nerfed?
Not right now, at least. It's too recent, in my opinion.
Okay. So you think that it will go to the KC Cup unscathed. Thank you for your
Yeah.
contribution. Crow?
Absolutely not getting through there unscathed. I expect at least 20% of the top 100 decks to be BLS.
That is a bold
Uh,
prediction.
I know it's a very bold prediction, but no one's going to call me on it
Fair enough.
because, yeah. Uh, I think I'm very biased because I play Blackwings. I'd like to see more back row limited 3. Put Book of Moon in there. It's been long enough. Put like all the freaking traps there. It's been long enough. Just all the back row. Just limit 3. All of it at once at the same time. I'm very biased.
I
I'm very biased though.
I genuinely used to think the same way, but then I realized that I realized at that point that you can't limit literally everything.
I know,
It's
I know.
unfortunate, but you can't. So
Yeah, you can't. I'm glad that they have started limiting stuff like right as it comes out.
mhm.
That's like a very good practice that I commend them for. But I feel like more stuff definitely needs to be limit 3. It just sucks to go against a deck that's just 9 back row.
I
And
I think that maybe Konami is going to move to put Book of Moon to limit 2. Because Book of Moon really is the standout. I play 3 of this, but the problem is that if you take Book of Moon out, people will play Paleozoic Canadia. But Paleozoic Canadia is probably the
that's a
safer card
much
because it's a
weaker
trap.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think
I
they
think more
they
people would
they moved
choose
away from
Chalice over Moon. And I think
Chalice,
Chalice is a much fairer card.
but Chalice isn't limited to.
I know, but if you were to say like if they did limit Book of Moon, I feel like people would start running Chalice in its place.
Okay.
It doesn't do the exact same thing, but it stuffs like monster effects,
Well, hold
which
on,
is
hold on, hold on. So, okay, I'm sorry to cut you off,
yeah,
but you have to remember that Effect Veiler's in the game now. So
that is true. But
doesn't that make Forbidden Chalice less valuable?
Effect Veiler doesn't work on your turn. That's the big issue.
It doesn't, but it does work on turn 1 if you go second, which is a huge
That
benefit.
is true, and I think I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Effect Veiler is a crazy good card. It definitely is going to see play. I think with Book of Moon in the meta, still, I don't know. I don't know that it will see as much play as it could,
That's fair.
which is crazy to say. But like, I feel like Book of Moon just kind of does so much against so many decks,
Mhm.
and just the fact that we're limited to 3 slots is huge with Book of Moon.
Absolutely.
It prevents a lot of combos. It prevents a lot of pieces. It's not less effective. It's still very effective, but slightly lesser extent now that we have the extra deck slot. But uh, I guess we've had that extra deck slot or the extra monster zone rather. We've had that for years. So I can't even say like that's new or anything,
That's correct.
even if it does feel new. But Book Moon, I think, definitely needs something done to it. It's been way too pervasive ever since it came out in the original selection box.
Okay. All right. And then Chrome. Go ahead and talk about the skill. But while you're discussing it, I'd also like to hear your thoughts on Crackdown in particular, because BLS has, and to a lesser extent, Destiny Heroes, have demonstrated how powerful Crackdown in particular has been as a standout Limit 3 card.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention it, but basically, first off, we talked about the skill before. I still am of the opinion that it does way too much and it allows too much flexibility in a meta where uh, decks are gearing towards having more than 20 cards in their deck. We are slowly moving away from the let's limit it to 20 cards, and people are going to starting to play 21, 23, 25 cards. In BLS, that a deck where you only need to run one of each ritual monster, maybe two or three Envoy at the beginning, and the three Magistas. Everything else is just tech. It is just hand traps. It is just um, crackdown any controller, whatever staple you want to put, chalice, lancia, whatever you want to put it in, you can, because you have like potentially uh, even up to 20 cards you can add to your deck that's just tech. That because the deck is so consistent, because the skill does so much, and in particular, like I said before, Crackdown is a standout of interruption. I've been playing Crackdown is a mainstay in Gravekeepers as well in Master Duel. At least for my lists, people have been going on and off on it because unless your opponent has very specific tools to deal with it in the moment, Crackdown can absolutely turn off your board. Specifically with the decks that are tiered right now, Tenyi normally ends up on. I'm pulling out a Tenyi list because I forget the name of the cards. 1 second. For
Draco
example,
Berserker of the Tenyi and Berserker of the
yeah,
Tenyi.
there you go. Draco Berserker, for example, is a massive body on the field. Berserker of the Tenny is a massive body on the field that does a lot. You're banking your whole strategy on pulling this very big card, and the opponent can just steal it and keep it. And even if you're playing against a Link deck, link it away. The opponent can still use it as material for their own plays. And if, for example, if you're getting for Dragon Berserker itself, you're getting a 3k body on the field that your opponent is probably not going to be able to run over it in the same turn you stole it. So I think Crackdown specifically is a very problematic card, paired up with every single other limit 3 trap. Every single trap that is limit 3 right now for me is very problematic. Ice Dragon's Prison, even at least in my experience, has been falling out of favor a little bit. Yes, it does not target. Yes, it is very good still. But I've seen people play it less and less, and it might be because I don't know why. Maybe because
I think it's because a lot of the skills that have come out have restricted you from summoning specific cards.
that may be it. I haven't thought of that.
Yeah. So IDP is weird because it's like you have to summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard, and when skills like Clear Wing Acceleration literally prevent you from summoning monsters outside your own deck, it messes you up a lot.
I mean, I haven't had any issues with IDP. For me, IDP can go to unlimited, and I'll be fine because Necro Valley basically negates it every time.
That's great. I just lost like 5 subscribers with that
Yeah.
statement. Thank you, Chrome.
I'm saying for me personally, I personally don't care about IDP. Um, but yeah, I see IDP as a problem card as well.
Okay,
Uh,
well, you're talking about all the limit threes. I want to remind you that Terrors of the Overroot has come out. So have you seen that card at all?
Let me, because I remember
Let
the
me pull it up.
name. There you go. I have it.
Okay, you have it.
I I can see it being problematic. Set your current opponent's field. You can.
Yeah, so like if your opponent plays something like they play MST and pop one of your cards, then you can just Tears of the Overroot and send their monsters to graveyard and set the MST.
Okay, yeah. No, that can be problematic. Yeah, I can
Mhm.
see it.
Or you could just clog up their field and mess with their link summons.
Yep.
You can mess with the
Exactly.
link summons.
I hope this
Yeah.
card will probably hopefully see play in Blue Eyes because putting monsters face down makes Chaos Max so much more powerful.
So be right back 1 second.
Oh shoot, that does.
Yep. You'd be like, "Oh no, you have Ubel on the field and I can't attack into you. Let me just go ahead and set Neos face down."
Ooh, yeah, that is gonna be a problem.
Double piercing and then crack. The only question is, I don't know. I don't know if this counts as a special summon.
It doesn't. It doesn't. You're just saying it.
It's a set, yeah. It just says set. It doesn't say special summon face down, which it would be otherwise.
I don't know. I'd have to test and see if the skill stops you from using Terrors of the Overroot in Blue Eyes. But if it doesn't, this would be hilarious.
It shouldn't.
It's a very, very strong card. I'm conflicted on
Oh,
whether.
hold on.
I think
Hold on, Crow. So we're gonna get. I don't want to get too off topic. Let Chrome finish his discussion, then we'll go back to Terrors of the Overroot. Okay, Chrome. Do you have any opinions about how the Soul of Light and Darkness or the deck should be changed, if at all? Chrome. Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Pegasus got to him.
Fair enough. We'll go ahead and we'll move forward then. Go ahead, Crow. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're completely fine. I got off topic. I'm very conflicted whether this or IDP is better. I think it's going to be format dependent. But I think in most formats, IDP is going to be slightly better. Just fact that IDP completely removes both cards and puts them in the banish pile. It requires a little more setup, but like, let's be really realistic. How many decks are like using multiple types of monsters?
It's
But
been
this,
it's been more frequent. I will say that. Let's take a look. Okay. So let's take a look and see. So Tenyi is all worms. Ultrageist is all spellcasters. Live Twins is both fiends and cybers.
Mhm.
Um,
Rockets all dragons, Blue
Rockets is
Eyes
all
all
dragons.
dragons.
Blue Eyes is dragons and spellcasters.
It's spellcasters,
Yeah.
yeah. Heroes
Heroes
all
is no. The new version of Heroes is fiends,
right.
spellcasters, and warriors. And actually, Mechlord made a point about this. It's actually really hard um, to use IDP to beat the hero deck because Kluger is a spellcaster monster and
Mhm.
Wiseman is a spellcaster, and you would think that you could use IDP to revive Kluger to get rid of Wiseman because Wiseman can't be destroyed by card effects, but
Luger can't be special
you
summoned,
can't
can he?
special summon Kluger from the graveyard exactly. So
Yeah.
there's not really a spellcaster in Heroes' graveyard to use to remove either one of them.
Yeah.
Infinitrax is all
Machines,
machines. Trickstars is all
Destiny Heroes.
fairies.
Yeah, I
Magic
think so.
Key is literally everything. So Magic Key will IDP is
Sports
worthless.
is the same way.
Um,
Sports is everything.
uh,
Uh,
why is Triple D here? Triple D is not a relevant deck. Okay. Yeah. So there
yeah.
we go. All right.
It's like 25% of like some of the top decks, maybe less than that. I think IDP is still really good. I think it's better in this current format. I think if we ever see a super heavy link format, I think Terrors of the Overroot is going to dominate that format just because he can block out link zones.
Oh shoot, that is true.
Yep, that will be interesting. Chrome testing.
Oh,
No, I don't have much to add to this other than
Chrome, where did you go?
I'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right, you okay?
But yeah, I'm fine, fine. No, I listened to most of it at the very end there. I do agree that IDP. My opinion, between IDP and I already forgot the name of the other card. I'm really
Tears
bad
of
at
the
names.
Overroot.
Sorry. Thank you. In between those two, I do think Overroot is a little bit more problematic. Uh, because it requires, in my opinion, a little bit less setup.
Okay. All right.
And
So, Chrome,
yeah, go ahead.
your opinion here to wrap up the BLS discussion. Do you think that BLS will be changed, and if so, what would you what are you expecting would happen?
Well, there's what I expect, what I hope. What I hope happens is we get rid of we change the skill.
Mm-hmm.
I think this skills like how BLS is working right now. I think even Eternal Bond skills like that have to be reworked to not work the way they're doing right now. To not uh, do so much for the deck and allow so much free space to just be added there. However, what I expect is going to happen is we're going to see a couple of the BLS cards go to limit 3, and that is going to
The BLS cards are
make.
bad, though.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's going to stop the deck from playing so many of the limit 3 back rows.
I guess. All right.
I
and
think, I
Konami
think,
is weird.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that way, the selling point of the deck, which is use the skill to do all these broken stuff and like feel like an anime character, you can still do it. Not as well, but you can still do it. And at the same time, the deck will still be playable. It will just not be as problematic because the cards that it can use are not the limit 3 trap cards. They're gonna be able to use Book of Moon, which I agree with Crow should have been hit a long time ago. I don't know why that card is still running free. Uh, they're gonna be playing some forbidden cards like Chalice, Lens, whatever. Still annoying, but not as problematic in my opinion as the limit 3 traps.
All right. Well, so my opinion is that I think what Konami will do. Konami did not intend for Magistus to be used in this way, and I think that Konami was expecting that the extra deck would be kind of bare bones, but I don't think they anticipated this. So I think that Konami is simply going to change the Soul of Light and Darkness to require you have an empty extra deck.
That could work.
That will completely remove
Yeah.
Magistus from the equation. It
I
will.
would I would kind of prefer them to word it in a way where you could still have an extra deck, just so that you could, if you don't run an extra deck, then it's obvious what deck you're playing. I kind of
How
hate.
how would you word it though?
Uh, I don't know, something along the lines of being like,
I mean, the skill.
you cannot summon any monsters from the extra deck after using this skill.
No, because that's what Magistus does. Magistus just equips the cards from the extra deck. They don't summon them.
I know.
But
It's just
but
hard to word it, and
the soul of light and darkness activates at the start of the game anyway. It dumps 7 cards in your graveyard. You're not going to pretend that you're not playing
I,
BLS.
I know, and it's just like one of those weird things for me where it's dumb. It's the same with Blackwings, how the Black Whirlwind or whatever the school's skill is called. How that starts at the beginning of the duel.
Yeah.
I've always felt like just completely removing the extra deck from decks. It's just weird. I don't know. I have a thing against it.
Well, the tune skill prevents you from summoning from the extra deck,
Yeah.
and it's
If I
working
may
this way.
interject, here's what I believe they're gonna do.
Hmm.
I think they're gonna do another Rhino Bus situation where they're gonna limit the magic cards to limit free, so it can't be played with the
Well,
deck.
hold on, Gold. You said that they weren't going to change anything. You said it was too recent.
I was gonna say they change anything about the deck itself, but when you're describing it, I believe they're gonna do a situation like that.
Also, it sucks Magistus is getting dragged into this because Magistus is a really cool deck.
I don't want to hear it. Magistus ruined Odd Eyes too. People have been using this as a degenerate engine for months.
I know, but like it's a cool like deck if you actually run it as a deck instead of just an engine.
Well, we will see when that happens. It will never happen.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Okay.
didn't believe the deck itself would get hit, but Magius, I believe that will be get hit because without Magicus, Blacklisted Soldiers still works as a deck. They just don't have that option to pop a card.
What do you think
I
they're going to change about Magistus?
Limit free, like I said.
Limit
I
3 on
know it's
what?
Indimon or
Okay, limit 3 on Endymion. All right, thank you.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with Crow that Magistus is one of those decks that on a vacuum is really cool, but when they interact with other decks, it can has the potential to be toxic.
Yeah.
For those who play TCG, it's an Ishizu deck situation.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right. Next up, let's talk about Infinitrack. I want to kind of go over the decks that weren't too common before the recent meta, so that the people who are watching this can kind of get used to it since the last KC Cup. So I don't want to talk about Rockets. People have played against Rockets in the last KC Cup. All right. So Infinitrax is a Earth Machine deck that focuses around Infinitrack Anchor Drill, which, if it's normal or special summon, you can special summon an Earth monster from your hand, an Earth Machine from your hand in defensive position, and then you can also target one other machine you control, and the levels of both that card and Anchor Drill become equal to the combined levels until the end of the turn. So if you summon a level 5 with Anchor Drill, you get to then immediately make a rank 9, which is absurd. Okay. And then they also have Outrigger extension, which makes it so that your opponent cannot target your machines with card effects. And they have Infinitrack Goliath, which says an Xyz monster whose original type is machine and has this card as material gains this effect. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then they run Treacherous Trap Balls because they can target their own monsters with Treacherous Trap Ball and then destroy not that. The deck also is able to very easily play Juggernaut Libe for some reason. So, okay. All right. Go ahead, guys. What do you think?
So
Based as hell.
yeah, I was gonna open up with based, absolutely based. Um, so when Master Duel first came out, I was a fiend for Earth Machine,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that I always knew that Infinite Tracker has some potential in this game because it has so many starters and extenders and a very decent end game, which is what some of these types of decks normally lack. But you got stuff like Earth Slicer, which is a destruction massive beater. You can easily run into the rank 10s. You can use their own cards to keep refilling the XCs with more materials. And you didn't mention it before. Anchor Drill is a star player in the deck, but so is Harvester. Because Harvester can immediately search any other Infinite Track monster back into your hand, which basically means you can get Dozer, special summon Dozer by tributing Harvester, and then with Dozer basically becomes a rank 5, which brings River Stormer, and it just combos off from there. It is very based.
The
It
deck
is a,
has an amazing grind game as well.
it
Like
does.
I have to admit that I'm confused when I watch them play because it feels like they make Goliath like 3 times and they don't really do it. I don't understand why they make Goliath so many times.
Because basically Goliath is a way of dumping. Because it's the thing, you want to dump as many of them into the graveyard as possible because of Thunder. Thunder can
Oh
shuffle
yeah, fair
five
enough.
Earth machines back into the deck,
Hmm.
and then you can just keep drawing. And if you keep drawing, you can just keep going. Uh, and Thunder is also what enables you to play one of each of your five level fives, because you can use them once, use their effects when available, and then just shuffle them back into the deck and keep going.
Fair enough. All right. So Infinitrax. Oh, I'm sorry, Gold. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think y'all already answered every question I have.
Okay. All right. So Infinitrax. I agree that this deck is base. I think it's very funny, but it is not an anime deck, and there's not like a skill or a character that it promotes. So, uh, they did
The
tolerate Orcust for a while.
The funniest thing to me is that this deck is playing skills like Sealed Tombs.
I mean, when you play Cosmic all the time, then
Yeah,
yeah. I I am of the opinion that this deck will go unhit. It will be good. It will be there will be tops in the top 100 Infinitrax, but it will not get nerfed.
I
no,
actually agree with that.
for me, there's no reason to nerf it.
No,
It
I don't
is
see any reason. I think maybe if it's still topping
Okay, hold on, hold on.
accuracy stuff.
We're getting into the point where you guys are just talking and talking over each other. So let's let Gold go first, then Crow, then Chrome.
okay.
All right, I definitely agree with what you said. While it has tops, I don't see anything that necessarily needs to be nerfed in this deck. It's not top tier like Blackluster Soldier, for example. If you're not necessarily using a busted card like again Blackluster Soldier or any of the other tiers, so I definitely don't see it being hit.
Okay, Crow.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair deck, all things considered. It obviously has its downsides and its upsides. The continuous spell, not heavy forward. I always forget the name of
Oh,
it. Uh,
Outrigger extension.
yeah, Outrigger, extremely strong card. It really does kind of push the deck beyond how it would be. It's like if that Gladiator Beast card was like actually good, the
Yeah.
one that prevents them from being affected by or targeted during the main phase or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anyways, this deck is also based as hell. I don't think anyone can be like, oh man, this deck sucks. It's so like unimaginative or anything like that. It's just giant freaking machines. Who doesn't like that?
Absolutely. Chrome.
Yeah, I I agree with what everyone's saying. It's a fun deck to. I think it's Infinite Track is one of those decks that when pure, uh, is it strikes the right balance of being fun to play as and fun to play against, and that is a rare balance to hit, really. And I think it's pretty. Oh, I guess Dozer is in the selection box, but other than that, the deck is very much easy to get multiple copies of because of
Yep.
Phantom of Rebellion.
It's in well
It's a lot of
Earth Earth
SRs.
Earth Slicer is in the hand box.
Oh, okay, that is a little bit. So is Mountain Smasher.
And River Stormer. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's like it's two mini boxes. I mean, two mini boxes isn't that bad.
yeah, I mean, at this point, it's the least of our issues when building a deck. To be honest, it is rare to see a deck like BLS to be one box and you're done.
Yep.
Uh, that said, it is relatively beginner friendly.
Hmm.
It is fun to play. It is fun to play against, and it's not oppressive enough to guarantee to merit any sort of limits or bans or anything. If anything, it might be hit tangentially
Okay.
if they decide to hit some of the staple cards it can run.
Hmm.
Which now that I'm looking at, they don't run many traps or staples, to be honest.
Yeah, they
Maybe
don't know.
Cosmic.
They would just play. They would just play barrel blast, that the gimmick puppet trap that like lets you detach materials to pop things.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
like
so
the only real staples they play are Book of Moon and Cosmic Cyclone.
yeah.
And if they hit that, if they put, for example, Book of Moon to 3, they can still run the 3 Book of Moons.
Yep. All right.
So, yeah, it's
Uh,
gonna go scathed.
all right. So we went into fun base deck. Now let's bite the bullet. Okay. Rockets has 3 first places recently, so it's doing better than BLS. Um.
Impressive.
Okay. I am
I
sick of
think
this
I
deck.
have to be the one to bite this bullet this time.
Okay, hold on. So we don't need to talk about Rockets. Everyone's played against Rockets. I just want to hear whether you think the deck will get hit and what you think they'll do. Gold, you can go ahead.
All right. I'm saying as the guy who played Rockets the most, like everybody here, I'm the one who played Rockets the most. This time, I think they're gonna get hit. There's no dodging it. They dodged it last time. We're unfortunately gonna get hit here. We are still we have been out long enough to where Konami doesn't feel the need to keep us around. I feel like they don't need to keep us around any longer. Plus, we're using all these staples, so I feel like this KC Cup, I feel like we're gonna get hit.
All right, what do you think is going to change?
Oh, there's 3 possibilities. One, the skill gets hit. 2, either Tracer or Quick Launch get hit.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3, all 3 happen.
Okay, fair enough. What would you expect to happen to the skill if the skill gets changed?
They're gonna take back the skill requirement. They're gonna make us force to send back a card,
Return
and
card.
then they're gonna hit. And then they're gonna hit us with that limit free on both Quick Launch and Tracer.
Okay, that seems a bit
I
extreme. I don't even know if you could fulfill the requirement at that point. But
I
okay.
know.
All right. Chrome, what do you think?
My hope is that they put a little stamp on Tracer at the very least. Uh, they already have a limit 3 in Silver Rocket. If they put Tracer, the little stamp on Tracer, that'll be enough for them to not be able to run the deck fully and have it with staples at the same time.
Okay.
Again, I also hope the deck gets touched tangentially by adding the little stamp to Book of Moon and other staples that every deck is playing. And yeah, I know that the skill does a lot. It does. But I don't think it does enough for the skill to get hit. I think if you hit the cards, it'll be enough for the deck to just slink into, I don't want to say rogue, but maybe like tier 2 or even tier 3, high potential, stuff like that. Like it just needs to. Oh, I think it's already tier 3, right? My bad.
It's
It's
tier
tier
2
two.
right now.
Tier 2. Okay, maybe it's gonna sneak back to tier 3 or high potential because I don't want to see it anymore in the ladder. It's a little. That's the thing. Rocket is a little bit annoying to play against, in my opinion,
Okay.
specifically because of Tracer.
All right. Crow.
So, like, you guys are mentioning Tracer. I think Quick Launch, like, is an absurdly powerful card. Like, it's just, you want rockets? Well, choose which one. Congrats, here's rocket. This card gets to be any singular rocket. 90% of the time, it is Tracer, because Tracer is such an absurdly good monster. But, like, even just outside of rocket decks, I think if they don't hit Quick Launch, eventually Quick Launch is going to end up used in some degenerate engine in some other deck. Uh, I prefer Quick Launch over Tracer getting hit. I think that'd be healthier, personally, just because Quick Launch is just it's absurd. It's just absurd just being able to get any monster out of your deck, get it on field just like that. No downsides, no restrictions, no nothing.
Fair
Well, I
enough.
guess downside is destroy it at the end phase. If you haven't used a monster by the end phase, what the heck are you doing with it?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's fair.
All
So
right.
yeah, I think limit 2 quick launch.
Limit
Like
2. Ooh,
Ooh,
that's rough.
Ooh.
ooh.
I know, spicy. If they wanted to hit the skill, then they would probably do like a Cyber Dragon situation where they require a certain amount of monsters.
It already does. It requires 9.
Yeah, but like 12 in that case. Because
Okay.
like the background on this deck is kind of getting absurd.
It is.
Also, warning point, please put warning point to 3.
All right. Well, then it's my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the thing that none of you mentioned, which is I think that now that Odd Eyes has been taken out back and shot, they can put Silver Rocket Unlimited. Silver Rocket was only ever limited because it was oppressing Odd Eyes, and they don't need to sell Odd Eyes anymore, so they'll probably bring Silver Rocket off the Limit 3 list. Doesn't really hurt the deck at all to have it, and this is kind of like one of the things that Rockets Pure should be able to do. We don't have any of the good rockets like a Nest rocket that allow us to do fun, cool things. So sniping a card out of the extra deck is basically the thing that makes rockets unique right now, and I don't want them to take it away. I do think that quick launch is the problem. I would expect quick launch to be put to 3. So I think it is going to be Silver Rocket Unlimited, quick launch put to 3, and then I was going to say this for the Trick Star discussion, but I want Needle Sealing to go to 3. I have said this all year. Ever since I opened my YouTube channel, every time I've had like a discussion about the ban list, I've said it's time, put Needle Sealing to 3. It's ridiculous. Now we're going to see Salamangrates get more popular, so Salamangrates is going to be more popular. Trick Stars are already popular, and we have rockets as well. So needle sealing just needs to go to 3 because it's never used in a fair way. It is only ever used in degenerate decks where they can like make use of the fact that they get destroyed or they don't get destroyed. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's just a better treacherous trap hole at this point.
Yeah. So needle
I just
sealing,
say that
needle sealing is ridiculous. Go ahead.
I just said that for example, my only use of needle sealing is because supernaturalists cannot be destroyed with necrovine up.
Exactly. Uh, all right. Speaking of trick stars, this is another deck that has overstayed its welcome. So you got first place, second place, fourth place, 3 top 8s. It's not as good as some of the other decks, but it's been around for ages. And uh, really, the main problem with trick stars is that Festival is just so annoying. Um, Holly Angel Trick, I don't think is that big of a deal. Um, Going -1 so that you could draw 2 when you're giving your opponent an extra card doesn't really bother me all that much. I actually don't mind the Trickstar Crimson Heart that much. Um, but the sheer amount of interaction that they have from hand with the Crow, the Lycoris, and the White Princess and the Corbane, it feels like half their game plan takes place from the hand, which is not how Duel Links has been recently. And while I think it's interesting, I don't think it's a good idea. Also, any deck that can get away with running 3 Dark Holes is a little absurd, in my opinion. Um, okay, so let's start with Chrome this time.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay, I've been saying this for a long last time, and I'll keep saying this. I do not understand Trickstars. But I do not understand in a way of every time I played against the deck, maybe it's a me problem. Maybe it's the way I played the game or anything. I do not still not understand the end game or the win condition for Trickstars because I don't see it as a powerful deck on its own. I hear about people saying it's problematic, but I've never seen its board be dangerous enough to get to justify doing anything to it. That is a personal opinion of mine. I know a lot of you will disagree. I just haven't had any issues with Trickstars yet.
Okay. Gold.
Okay. To answer not Chrome's question. I believe the part of it is that they believe it's going to be a big FDK, which it wasn't at first. It's going to, since the light point damage was nerfed. And another part of it is that it can run so many staples like Seraphi. I'm messing up names today. Seraphi said it can run so many staples from the hand or stuff like needle sealing. So that's why a part of it is what makes it so strong. It can run all these staples, and on top of that, it can deal light point damage to you to lower you down.
Okay. So Chrome, it sounds like, isn't expecting any sort of change to happen to Trickstars. Gold, do you think
No.
that they will get nerfed?
The things gonna get hit are the staples. Like I don't feel like directly any problems you had with Trickstars were directly from the card. It was the staples themselves.
Okay. All right.
So I feel like the nerf you're wanting is a staple nerf, not necessarily a Trickstar nerf.
Okay. Crow, do you have any opinions about Trickstars?
Yes and no. I don't like Trickstars. They're a degenerate burn deck. It's not fun to play against them. They just stall while they slowly burn you down before, going into for an LTK with like Corbane or whatever. Uh, and it's kind of boring. But at the same time, I don't think they're an oppressive enough deck, despite like being highly represented on DLM, to warrant like too many nerfs. If they were gonna nerf something, maybe I don't know, do like a limit 3 for Corbane and something else. And one thing you guys didn't really mention was the skill. You said the skill like wasn't great, and I agree with that. But also at the same time, the skill is the skill or the deck didn't become good until like they got that skill upgrade, which just gives them extra life points just for existing, and like kind of a large amount of life points. You have
I
like
disagree.
50% more.
This skill like, so before they were playing Holly Angel Trick, they were playing 3FX, which was the same thing.
Yeah, and like now they just get to use this, or like now they get to like get the regular burning from Holly Angel,
Hmm.
which is like pretty good in the TCG itself because it's so consistent and happens so often.
Hmm.
And now they just get to do that more. But it was also the field spell as well. They did not help with that.
That's fair. Yeah, the field spell is probably what pushed the deck over the edge. I will agree with that.
Yeah. If anything, I don't want them to ban the field spell because then the deck just is unusable. I feel, but I don't know. It's hard.
Okay. All right.
It's
Well,
hard.
I'll take a crack at it. So I do agree that Trickstars does not feel like too powerful of a deck, but it's also ridiculously overrepresented. And in particular, I don't think that the deck represents what Konami was hoping to achieve by creating a skill and giving us these extra cards. So I think what they're probably going to do is I think they're going to change Holly Angel Trick to restrict it so that you can only play Trickstar monsters.
Okay, that works.
We
That
have
would make sense. Oh boy, imagine not being able to play hand traps with that deck though.
Yep.
That would
Well, I mean,
that's a huge.
they have two hand traps. They have Lycoris and they have Korribane.
Those aren't like
I know, but that's there.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Technically, you're right. Yes.
Mhm. So you do have hand traps, you do have disruption and that sort of thing. But I do think that they'll just be like, look, we've done this in the past. We've said that anime skills should allow you to play the deck itself. We want people to play burn with Trickstars. So let's just stop Trickstars from having so many easy ways to get out of battle. The
Mhm.
White Princess really makes it, because White Princess is so one-sided for Trickstars. Trickstars have a decent amount of attack points for Link monsters. They have Korribane, which makes their attack points go way up, and then White Princess basically makes it so that only Link monsters can fight them. Because Xyz monsters lose all their attack points, high level monsters like Synchros and Fusions lose all their attack points. Um, White Princess is just, it has so much synergy with the deck, and that really doesn't need to be there when they also have Dark Hole. They are very good going second. They shouldn't be so good going first and just setting up a bunch of links and then passing, especially when they're gaining life points. If they're gaining 2,000 life points, that should be how they live through the turn, not gaining 2,000 life points and then also being able to use hand traps to make it so that their monsters can't be destroyed. So yeah, I think the Holly Angel trick will be changed. It will probably say you have to run at least 6 Trickstar monsters, and you can't run any monsters except Trickstar monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be enough to kill the representation. Like I said, the deck doesn't feel too powerful for how much it appears.
Yep. All right. That should be. Odd Eyes is still. How is Odd Eyes still tier 3? Okay. All right. Let's. Three first place.
Right.
3 first place, 2 second place. This is ridiculous. All right. What is this
It
crap?
is.
Where is this coat, bro?
Lance for ink. What? If a normal monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent.
Lens for Incus?
Yep. All right. That is a sea serpent looking dinosaur right there. There's also a wing beast, but all right. Wow, this is not Raging Pendulum. There's no Pendulum Call in here. This guy got first place without Pendulum Call.
What's he facing? What were he facing? Hold on. Go to that battle.
Hey guys, I'm gonna dip. Sorry, I gotta leave early.
That
It
is
was fun.
That is completely fine. You've been here more than enough, Crow. I really appreciate you coming out. Everyone, this is Crow, and he is in the Blackbird Nest. Crow, I hope you have a great day.
Take it easy, y'all.
All right. Man, this is ridiculous. Yeah, you know what? People have talked about this deck a lot. People have said over and over again that they just need to like restrict the deck. They do. This skill has to get changed at this point. I'm gonna call it. The skill should say Magician Pendulums, Odd Eyes, Perform Pals, and that's it.
Yep.
Like that. It should have happened in May. It should have happened in June. It should have happened in August. It's gotta happen in November. Like this is dumb at this point. This is so dumb that we're still talking about this deck. Okay.
Especially again, like I always talk about my my experience against the deck.
Yeah.
I think I'm the one that suffers the most against this, because Odd Eyes just circumvents everything my deck does. It is not fun to play against, even if you play a different deck, because you just get to watch a little bit of solitaire there, and they have so many tools that there's no way to stop it.
Mhm.
For me, this deck should be dead by now. It's lived its course. It had a good run. No one likes it anymore. Please
Absolutely.
focus on other pendulum decks.
I just realized we talked about like all the ridiculous stuff where we have Vendreads and Exodia and Charmers on this list. I don't see any Sulfachords. That is shocking.
That is a little bit sad, because Sulfachords are kind of based.
They're pretty good. I'm surprised that Sulfachords got kicked out. All right. All right. I'm sick of talking about old decks. Let's talk about some fun new decks. Let's talk about Cybers. First place. Here we go. All right. So a refresher for the people who don't know. Fusion Clock Up. Each of the following effects can be used once per duel. During the duel you use this skill, you can't special summon monsters except Dragon-type fusion monsters and Cybers. You can only special summon Dark or Wind monsters from your graveyard. If you have Cybers Clock Dragon in your extra deck, return one fusion or one Cybers monster from your hand to the deck, and add one Clock Wyvern and one Cynet fusion from your deck to your hand. That is insane. So any Cybers monster becomes Clock Wyvern and Cynet fusion. Then you can also change one normal monster in your main monster zone to Stack Reviver. Chrome, that is for Clock Wyvern. Clock Wyvern, when you summon it, it gives you a token. So you turn the token into Stack Reviver. Stack Reviver says that when you use both the monsters as link material, you get to revive Clock Wyvern. And
That is a
then,
bit insane.
yes, it is. And then change the type and attribute of 2 monsters on your field to dragons and dark. Then send 1 Decode Talker from outside your deck to the graveyard. And the reason that you do
Okay.
that, so you activate the skill, you draw Clock Wyvern, you draw a Silent Fusion. You summon Clock Wyvern, you use its effect to turn the token as Sacrificer. You link both of those into Proxy F Magician, which is a link 2 that allows you to fusion summon, and then you also activate Sacrificer to revive Clock Wyvern. You activate your skill, you turn Clock Wyvern and Proxy F Magician into Dark Dragon monsters, and you fuse them into Borreload Furious Dragon using Proxy F Magician's effect.
That's actually pretty good.
Yes.
Absolute insanity.
And then you can also play the Signet Fusion that you drew to make Diplexer Chimera, which is if this fusion summon card is sent to your graveyard, you can target 1 Signet Fusion and 1 Cyberse monster in your graveyard and add them to your hand. So Diplexer Chimera is your target for Borreload Furious to destroy one of their opponent's cards, and then you also get to get Signet Fusion and Clock Wyvern back, so that next turn you can OTK.
I maintain absolute insanity. Okay.
All right.
That's pretty.
So have either of you faced this deck yet?
No, I don't think I have faced it yet.
Looking at it, I think I played against it once, but I did not understand what my opponent was trying to do.
Okay. All right, then I guess I'm talking. All right, so this deck is fun. Link Slayer is definitely the star of this deck. Being able to get a free Link material that if you're going second, you can just remove all your opponent's back row by discarding 2 cards is crazy good, especially when you're drawing extra cards. If you don't need the Signet Fusion because you have Proxy F Magician to Fusion Summon, you can discard Signet Fusion and basically turn it into an MST with Link Slayer. So that's insane. This deck also makes great use of Effect Veiler. You have fewer need for cards in your hand because you're just drawing extra cards with the skill. So Effect Veiler just sits there and makes sure that you don't lose the game, and then you could pop anything with Borreload Furious Dragon. And the goal is you make Cyber's Clock Dragon with basically Clock Wyvern and probably like Clock Wyvern and maybe Proxy F or Talkback Lancer or something like that. And then you link it off. You link Cyber's Clock Dragon off to make Clock Lizard. And what Clock Lizard does is you contribute it, then return a fusion monster from your graveyard to the extra deck, so you return Cyber's Clock Dragon. Then fusion summon that monster by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard. And then if this card is banished from your graveyard, you can make special summon monsters your opponent controls, lose 400 attack for each Cyberse monster in your graveyard. So basically, you can use Clock Lizard to make Cyberse Clock Dragon using every Link monster in your graveyard. So you have the Decode Talker, you have Cyberse Clock Lizard, you can have Talkback Lancer, Proxy F, and Rastaliger. Rastaliger you usually make going last. So this card probably won't be in there, but these 3. So this is a Link 2, this is a Link 1, this is a Link 2, and then Decode Talker is a Link 3. That is 5, 6, 8. That is 8 monsters, which means that you mill 8, and Cyberse Clock Dragon will have 10,500 attack points.
Oh shoot!
Okay, that is cool.
Yes, and then you're also activating Clock Lizard's effect because you're banishing it from the graveyard to fusion summon. So every Cyberse monster in your graveyard will lower your opponent's attack positions, special summon monsters attack by 400. So let's see, you have Link Slayer, Backup Secretary in your graveyard. That's 800 extra attack points that are lost. And then a Stack Reviver as well, because Stack Reviver will be in the graveyard. Because that's actually, I didn't even think about that. Clock Wyvern's token normally doesn't count because it gets removed. But if you turn the token into Stack Reviver is in your graveyard. That's an extra card for Clock Lizard. I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
That is absolutely insane. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the way this deck plays.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely fun looking. So, basically, turn 1 you set up. If you go first, you make Furious, you pop a bunch of stuff, you make sure that you don't die. Even if you have to pop Borreload, remember Borreload has another effect, which is you can banish it from your graveyard to target a Dark Link monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So you could just revive Deco Talker that you dumped with Fusion Clock Up if your Borlo gets destroyed.
That is actually really cool.
Yep. So the skill sets you up for a lot of ridiculous degenerate stuff, and you try an OTK. The problem is, by the way, Duplexer Chimera. Duplexer Chimera has another effect, which is once per turn you contribute a Cyber monster, which includes itself. Spells and traps and their effects cannot be activated during the battle phase this turn.
Okay, so that negates basically the battle traps and I mean.
Yep, that negates the battle traps. So.
And also, for example, sometimes you want to save Crackdown for the battle phase because that means there's no possible response to it
That's
until
correct.
next turn.
Yep. So you can force people to use Crackdown before the before the battle phase, so that they have to, so that you can then remove it with, or you can use Forbidden Lance or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you can respond to it.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then also, of course, since you tributed it, you activate its other effect, and you get to draw Signet, Fusion, and Cyber Sponsor from your graveyard, which means that you could then Fusion summon something else. But yeah, so yeah, that is cool. It's important to note that Signet Fusion will not let you summon Borload. You have to use Proxy F to summon Borload, because Signet Fusion summons Cyber Sponsors.
Ah, I see now.
Okay, so that is the deck. The deck is extremely funny. There are actually pause, because Chrome has been busy. So I'm gonna pull up a little something special for Chrome real quick. All right, and let's watch this real quick.
Okay, I'm watching the game.
Yo. Huh?
Signet mining.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Okay, what the wait.
That's Cyber Switch. What?
Oh.
Frog? What? No, not this bullshit again. Not this bullshit once again. No. We already had this FTK before in the TCG.
It was amazing.
How does this slip through?
So to be fair to Konami, the skill explicitly prevents this, because they go out of their way to say you can only special summon Dark and Wind from the graveyard. So people, if you want to FTK with Clock Wyvern, you can't use the skill.
It is not enough. Okay, so I imagine it's not as consistent.
I mean, it's Salad. Salad is pretty consistent. The guy was running, I think, 3 circles. 3 circles and 2 Signet minings.
Oh my god. I want to be mad, but I can't.
You just have to mill your entire deck.
I was like, okay, what? I was impressed about a lot of steps in that. Like, for starting with the whole. Suddenly there's a ritual monster, and then there's a. The moment I saw Frog, I was like, oh no, this is degeneracy.
Yep.
There is no way this is a legitimate deck. This is degeneracy, and of course it was. As soon as Catapult Turtle popped into the, as soon as I saw Catapult Turtle, I was like, oh okay, I see you again.
Yep. So we saw this with Gokis, but Cyber's Clock Dragon has an easier time with it because Cyber's Clock Dragon just mills. So it's fantastic. I have to send you. By the way. There's an amazing clip on YouTube of someone who's playing a Cyber's Clock Dragon FTK deck, but instead of Catapult Turtle, they mill the 5 pieces of Exodia and then make Firewall Dragon to return them all from the graveyard to the hand.
Absolutely amazing.
Yes. Okay. So Is this deck going to see a lot of representation in the KC Cup? Yes. This is a very good deck. It is very easy to play. The skill is very. It's like Chrome said in our skill issue video. It's a skill that basically plays the deck for you. But I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I like Borreload Furious Dragon. Borreload Furious Dragon is a fair card. It's a good disruption, and we finally have it in a deck that can see pretty good play. And by the way, Playmaker has a line with Borreload Furious Dragon, which confuses a lot of people.
Really?
He's the only one who summoned it in the anime. Varys gave it to him as a present before the final duel. Varys never played Borreload himself.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep. And you would think, how is Playmaker? Why would he give this to Playmaker when it requires dragons to summon? But Playmaker had a card that makes his monsters dragons, so whatever.
Most situational card.
Yep.
Playmaker can cheat.
Yep. All right.
That was really one of his skills. Oh, sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
Let's talk about S-Force. This deck is amazing. The only problem I have with S-Force is S-Force Chase. S-Force Chase is disgusting. But other than S-Force Chase, this deck is amazing. And the new cards are fantastic for it. We got Dog Tag, which is your opponent can't activate their monster effects during your main phase. So it's basically like an anti-interruption card. How can you be against that? You should be able to play on your own turn. Retroactive, which is if a monster you control will be used as link material for an S-Force monster, you can also use this card in your hand as material. And during your main phase, you can return this card to the hand if you do special summon one level 2 or higher S-Force from your hand. So you summon this, you bounce it, and then you get to special summon Lapswell. And if Lapswell is special summon, you can target an S-Force monster in graveyard and special summon it. And not special summon it in defense position, by the way. Special summon it. So this does let you revive Justify. You can banish one S-Force card from your hand, destroy all monsters in your all of your opponent's monsters in the same column as your S-Force monsters. So it's Raigeki.
Dude, that is pretty busted.
Yes, and then if an S-Force card would banish a card from your hand to activate its effect, you could banish this card from your graveyard instead. So you can summon S-Force reactive, return it to the hand, special summon Lapswell, then use this card in your hand as link material to summon Justify, then activate Lapswell's effect, which would banish a card from your hand, banish this card from the graveyard instead, Raigeki. So those are the new S-Force cards.
It's like I said before, I still think S-Force is a pretty decent rogue deck. Like, it may not be tier, but like if you fight it, like, you gotta be prepared.
Duke built this deck a long time ago. He got the new cards. He played against me with it. He went 3-0 against my Speedroids with this deck. So it is a very good deck.
Yeah,
Oh, and it's important to note that Reinforced Truth came out. Reinforced Truth came out, and Reinforced Truth lets you special summon Chiyomaru, which is disgusting.
Oh no.
Oh.
So Chiyomaru is the best card in the deck, and allows you to, as a quick effect, banish a card from your hand, return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon an S-Force from your deck in defense position, and you special summon Gravitina, which lets you you can either special summon Gravitina, which lets you draw a card, or you can special summon Edge Razor, which lets you special summon a S-Force from your hand, which could then be Gravitina or Platina. So it's just like being able to summon Chiyomaru from the deck is crazy.
I think that is what crosses it into a little bit too much, because the deck itself, I mean, it's strong, but I don't see problem cards.
You don't see a Macro Cosmos as a problem card?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. The Macrocosmos I can do without, but beyond that, if you were to limit or ban or touch that, the deck itself is just.
Oh, the deck's not gonna get hit. It's fine.
Oh yeah, it's not gonna get hit, and that's part of what makes it so good. Like, it's under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know it's I know there are some fans of the archetype. Even in our server, I think Ilga said that he liked the deck a lot.
I mean, Duke is
But
king of games with this deck.
oh, that's fair. He,
Yeah.
he he also did with vampires. That was the one that stuck in my mind the
we
most.
can't argue the baseness of Duke. Duke repeatedly demonstrates his baseness.
Yes, it
Um,
is undisputed. But other than that, I think it's fine. And I also noticed that there's another tier deck that we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, hold on, let me get back. Um,
And I do not mean the waifu one.
Penny.
oh, Tenyi and Tenyi or Sardix and Gandor. Yeah, I forgot that we didn't talk about Tenyi. Hold on, let's see. Dang, Tenyi is using a bunch of different skills. It's a Toon World.
Yes,
Let's
I
see
just
that.
okay. Let me talk about that. I just played against a Toon Tenya deck.
Okay, I want to hear this.
So basically, what they're doing is, you know how Crackdown is a problem?
Yes.
They're using
Oh,
It's a Toon World to basically use the Toon engine to search a lot of the Toon cards. And what Toon cards do they have? They have the trap that bounces a monster back to the deck, and they have the equip spell that steals a monster from the opponent.
How
So
are you
if you
putting
get
this in Tenyi?
because the Tingy doesn't Tingy can just work with the monsters by themselves. You use the spell trap engine of um, Toons with their search because remember that Toons have their spell card that is a search, a universal search. They can just search for anything, and then you can just get Cosmic Hand.
If you control, okay, so you don't need a Toon monster. If you control it, that's
Yes,
disgusting.
they just
Actually,
so
now that you mention this, I have played against this deck as well. I
yeah.
played against this one time.
I didn't they didn't use the search for me, but I did play against a deck that I used during the main phase. They were doing their combos. They summoned the 3K. I keep forgetting the name. Sorry. Um, and I used Crackdown, and they immediately chained. They immediately responded with Cosmic Comic Hand.
Mm, yep.
So the monster went back into their field and could attack.
Nice. Very funny. Okay, so yeah, Tenyi. All right, Tenyi is currently what, 2 months old?
Yes, and it's
Um,
still
it's
taking
just as
names.
old as BLS. It's just as old as BLS right now.
let's see. Okay, so to discuss Tenyi, for those of you who haven't seen it, Tenyi is a deck that focuses around special summoning from the hand. Um, all Tenyi monsters share a unique effect where if you control no effect monsters, you can special summon the monster from the hand. And you would think that would limit you to only one per turn, but they use non-effect link monsters. So they have Monk of the Tenyi, which is a link 1 that has no effects, and it's just a 1,000 attack link monster. And so you special summon, like, for example, Vishuda, link it into Monk of the Tenyi, and then you can special summon any of the other monsters from your hand. And they also all have an effect, which allows them to banish themselves from either your hand or your graveyard to activate an effect, but only if you control a non-effect monster. So not that you control no effect monsters, you have to specifically control a non-effect monster. Um, which is why if you played MD, you've never heard of the other effects because Sword Soul doesn't play non-effect monsters, except the tokens. Okay, so Ashuna lets you special summon a monster from the deck. It's not Ashuna. Vishuda lets you return a card on your opponent's field to the hand, spell, trap, or monster. Uh, Ashada, or no, Adhara lets you return a banished card from your graveyard to your hand. Shitana allows you to, when the monster is when a non-effect monster is destroyed, revive that monster and then destroy a card in your opponent's field. And what is the last one called? Mapura. Mapura lets you banish it to negate an effect that would target a non-effect monster and destroy it. So these are interesting cards. They go into Berserker of the Tenyi, which is a 3,000 attack link 2 that has no effects. And then they also have Shaman of the Tenyi, which allows you to discard a card to revive a worm, but you lock yourself into Tenyis for the rest of the turn. and then it also has a Elemental Hero Sunrise effect, where if you attack, if an attack is declared involving a non-effect monster, you can target one card your opponent controls to destroy it. Then they also use Draco Berserker, which is a 3,000 attack Synchro monster, Dark Worm. When your opponent's monster activates, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish that monster. It does not negate the effect, just banishes the card, but that can be very good. And if it destroys an effect monster by battle, it gains attack equal to the destroyed monster's attack, and it can make a second attack on monsters during the battle phase. And then lastly, they have Baxia, which is insane. Baxia, Brightness of the Yang Zing. It's a Yang Zing card, so you can't summon it after you've locked yourself into Tenyi, but it allows you to target 2 cards on the field and then shuffle them into the deck, which is crazy. And then you can also target 1 card you control and 1 level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard, destroy the card on the field, and revive the monster from the graveyard. This can include spells and traps, so you can destroy one of your set cards to revive a level 4 monster and then continue link summoning, or you can just pop your Baxia to get a Tenyi monster back so that you can start using Tenyi effects again. That was a long-winded discussion. They also have Flawless Perfection, the Tenyi, which is I activate my field spell Pot of Greed. It makes your monsters towers, but it also lets you draw 2 cards every time your opponent special summons an effect monster once per turn, which is crazy good. Okay.
Yeah, the deck does a lot of things.
Yes. So, is this deck a problem? I would say yes. Do I think this deck will get hit? I would say it's hard to hit the deck because
Yeah.
you can't really. If you put a Shuna to 3, which would make the most sense, even though it's an ultra rare, they probably won't, but that would make the most sense. If they put a Shuna to 3, it doesn't matter. The deck doesn't run any limit 3s.
Yeah, it is. For me, Tenyi is in a very difficult position. It is a mix of problematic and old that justifies it getting hit. But the issue then becomes, in order to hit it, you need to hit multiple cards at once, and at that point, you're just killing the deck.
I think I see a solution. I think you put Boxia to 1.
You sure?
Would that be enough?
I don't think that would be enough.
So here's the thing, right? The other effects on the field, you can bounce 1 card with Vishuda, and that's you're just going to be able to do that. But how do you get rid of other cards, right? There's not anything else. You can use Shaman's effect when you attack, but you have to attack to do that. Boxia is how you remove multiple cards on the field when you're not playing any back row.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So I think taking Boxia out of the equation could definitely fix the problem. And Boxia is an older card, so they would be fine putting it to 1.
I do think that you need to hit one of the main deck Tenyis.
Yeah, but the problem is if you hit one of the main deck Tenyis, it doesn't change anything. You have to hit 2 of them.
I think that if you were to hit 2 of them, you had to hit I forget the name, Vishuda, for real, and possibly the UR one.
So you think putting both of those to 3 would be enough? See, I feel like you would kill the deck at that point.
Yeah, that is my point. Like for me, if you want this deck to not be as present, because this is a thing. We saw before, this deck uses way too many skills. So touching their skills is gonna hurt every single time before it hurts this one.
Yep.
I do not think that limiting to 1 the other synchros is going to be quite enough, because I think they can reach a scary end board without it, regardless. But anything else you do to the deck just kills it. So it's a hard one to hit while making it balanced.
I think I've got it. You take the 2 spells and you put them to 3.
Okay, that could help, because
that could work. That could work.
And also, it's a it's a rare and a normal, so that will not have issues with that.
It's a rare and a normal, but the thing about the spells is they give you a ton of advantage. Like the vessel lets you mill 1 and then also draw 1, and the Heavenly Dragon Circle, you never use the first effect. All you do is you discard this with Shaman, and then it's basically like an extender that you discard, which is crazy good. So
yeah.
These 2 cards are good. And I don't want them to go away, but I think you should limit them to 3 so that you can only play like maybe 2 of this and 1 of this, and then they're like they might add like Book of Moon to make up for that, but it's still like they're not as consistent if they do that.
Yeah, if you choke out the spells, I think there'll be enough.
Mhm.
With the power creep rising, I think it'll be enough to push Tenyi to rest a little bit, because I think it's been way too prominent for way too long in way too many builds.
They might even do what they did with Infernoids. You remember what they did with Infernoids? They put Infernoids 2 back row to 2 each.
That was a little bit brutal, yes.
So so when was the last time you saw an Infernoid deck? Like that deck has been killed.
Yeah. If they do that, that is officially killing the deck.
Gold, do you have anything to add?
I don't think they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna do the nerf for 10 yet. Like at least for this KC Cup, because it's still pretty too recent. Because remember, they just came out in like September, like the end of August.
All right.
I mean, how quickly did they hit the speed ride?
They hit Speedroids really fast, but they gave Speedroids a love tap like in the first KC Cup, and then they the next KC Cup they shot it.
Yeah, they took it back out of the barn.
Yep. All right. Let's move away from the tiers for a second and let's talk about Dark Magician.
How is this Seal Scene play? Can this deck die? Sorry, I am not a fan of this deck.
All right, so we're talking about let's see. Do we even want to talk? No, we don't want to talk about Magician's Magic. Magician Magic is bad. Let's talk about Trick Up the Sleeve. All right, so they have unbanned Dark Magician. So Dark Magician Rod is now free. People can play Rod at 3. People can play Magician's Navigation at 3. And because of this, people have said, "F the skill. The skill is bad. We want to be able to play Magician's Navigation and banish cards during our opponent's turn." Um, wow, this guy. I just realized this guy hit King of Games with 1 Dark Magician.
I was looking. Huh?
That is terrifying.
Wait, how does he activate navigation then? How is he?
He's just playing. Oh, he has Trick Up Sleeve. He always starts with this in his hand.
Oh, bro.
Trick Up the Sleeve. Your starting hand will include 1 level 7 or higher Dark Spellcaster. But Navigation summons a Dark Magician from your deck. Why wouldn't you want to play another one?
Why is there a shaman in there?
Gravekeeper Shaman. While negate all monster effects that activate the graveyard.
Oh, okay. I don't play shaman way too often. I keep confusing that her effect only works while Necrovalley is on the field.
Yep. So but you could special summon this with Magician's Navigation.
Can you?
Yeah, because it's a level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster.
I
Yeah.
see now.
You can just summon. During your opponent's turn, at any point, you can just pop in a Dark Magician and a Shaman, and that just locks your opponent from a lot of stuff. Okay, that is kind of based.
Mhm.
I still hate you.
That's fair.
Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer as well.
Yeah, the Kaiku is the one that. Huh? I mean, I guess it's a Dark Spellcaster.
Yeah, so you prevent BLS.
Oh, that's why he is there.
Your opponent can't banish cards from either player's graveyard. Nice BLS, bro.
That's why it's there. I guess the duality also makes sense, because if you search up the navigation, you don't really need the normal summon anymore.
Oh, you can't special summon in the first turn.
Oh, so it wouldn't even matter anyways.
Yeah, you are not allowed to special summon during the first turn if you have Trick Up the Sleeve.
Okay. Yeah, so the polarity makes sense.
Yeah.
Crackdown makes sense. Compulsory makes sense.
Single Eternal Soul. This is a funny list. Okay, all right. So let's talk about Dark Magician. So apparently someone hit King of Games with 1 Dark Magician. That's funny. I have to say that's pretty funny. Okay. He can't even play Ibn Illusion Magician because he doesn't have another level 7. So he's playing Borreload. Why is he playing Salamangreat Bailings? How are you?
I think that's just filling up extra.
No, it's for Crackdown.
Oh.
He's trying to steal a live twin. He's trying to steal a live twin.
He's trying to steal Live Twins and Clock Wyvern and link them all.
Oh no.
Oh, Oh, this guy is a genius.
Whoever
Man,
you are,
no.
Kenny Lily? However you pronounce your name.
Ken Lee. Kenny Lee. All right.
Metal. You make me like a Dark Magician list.
All right. So okay. So uh
Hold on, I gotta post this in the Duel Links chat.
Dark Magician is just, yeah, it still exists, but it just got unbanned. So I feel like they're not, I feel like they're gonna leave it alone. Like, what do you hit,
I
right? Like, they
I
do you put broad and navigation in 3 again? Like, it just got unbanned.
no, I don't think Dark Magician is gonna get hit at all. It's a fan favorite deck. Blue Eyes is at the cusp of being meta again.
Hmm.
Uh, I think they're gonna favor it a little bit. If you look at the tier list and the decks, there's a lot of love for DM right now.
There is,
BL,
yes.
BLS,
I mean,
Gandora,
that's what
Blue
we
Eyes.
just said. Like, it's a ritual meta.
Yeah, it's a ritual meta and it's a DM meta as well
Hmm.
combined.
Yep.
Uh, I
Oh,
don't think
remember how I said it was a ritual meta, and then I showed you that that FTK with Cybers that used Cyber Switch. So
yeah.
so even Clock Wyvern is playing rituals.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna. If anything, I think after this KC Cup, I think BLS, Tangy, and possibly Trickstar are gonna come out of the KC Cup badly.
Hmm.
They're gonna get touched,
Okay.
and
All right.
I think all of those need more than a love tap. I think all of those need a kick in the shin.
All right. We've gone on for 2 hours now, so let's go ahead and let's wrap this up. Let's cover 3 more decks. I want to cover Live Twins. I want to cover Magic Keys, and I want to cover Tunes.
Okay.
So we'll start with Tunes.
It's gonna
Come on,
start with absolutely based as well,
come on.
even if it destroys me.
Yes, Tunes is absolutely based. You are correct. The fact that you can't run an extra deck is funny, but I will go ahead and I will say that Tune players, for some reason, insist on playing an extra deck, even though they can't summon anything from the extra deck, which resulted in me beating a lot of Tune players with my Mechlord deck, because they literally just had monsters they couldn't summon for no reason except showing off, and I was just like, oh, cool, I can steal this and kill you. This guy is playing Skullmeister.
I've seen those in a couple lists. That is a very peculiar list.
Wait, isn't Terraforming Limit 1?
It is. It's not showing up there, but it is.
That's weird. All right, I will be right back. Chrome, go ahead and talk about Tunes while I'm gone.
Okay, so Toons is a deck that is specifically out to get me and no one else. Because the way Toons work, first off, they have two of the best search tools in the game. Toon Table of Contents has forever and ever been the bane of a lot of decks' existence because you can search any Toon card from the deck, which includes itself, hence why it's only at 1. But basically, if you're missing any piece of anything, just use Toon Table of Contents. Then you have Toon Bookmark, that also does very similar things. It adds any card that specifically names Toon World or Toon World in its text from a deck to your hand, and it also gives a little bit of protection to your monsters. Not even that. I think it's for the Toon World. Sorry, it protects Toon World specifically. So Toon Bookmark is a second search that you can run a 3, and it also has protection. Toon Kingdom has protection to your monsters. It acts as Toon World, and it protects from battle. It protects from destruction. It protects from being targeted. So basically, the only way to remove a Toon monster from the field is non-target banish or bounce. And they can afford to run Pot of Duality because they have a lot of tools to just special summon their monsters onto the field. We already talked about Comic Hand, which is just a snatch steal crackdown as an equip spell. And Tomb Briefcase is also a very nasty trap. It is basically uh, compulse on summon is the only drawback it has. And they have Tomb Invitation that as a skill just allows you to normal summon Tomb monsters to the field. And remember that as a shared effect, a Tomb monster can just attack directly. So basically what you end up having is a board with set cards that can disrupt your opponent, like Warning Point, like Tomb Briefcase. You have a monster on the field that is very high attack, either 25k or 3k, that cannot be destroyed by battle, and that can attack you directly, and cannot be targeted by effects. So it is a very hard deck to deal with for most people.
And
The
the
thing is,
skill, really quick,
yeah, go
the
ahead.
skill also lets you return a tune card from your hand to your deck to add Toon World to your hand. And you might think that's kind of like a bad effect, but I've seen people do with it is if they draw their one copy of Toon Blackluster Soldier, they'll return it to the deck to draw Toon World, so that they can then special summon that monster with Toon Dark Magician. So it puts
Yep.
your Blackluster Soldier back in the deck, so that you never have to worry about bricking on it.
And again, Toon Dark Magician is one of the best Toon cards that have ever reprinted, because you can once per turn discard a Toon card, which you have plenty of,
Mhm.
to either special summon a Toon from the deck or add a Toon spell trap from the deck to your hand.
Which can be Toon Kingdom
So
or Toon
which could be
Briefcase.
Toon Kingdom or Toon Briefcase.
Toon
I'll come
Briefcase
into
is
the point.
not once per turn, by the way.
No, it is not.
All right, let's let Gold talk.
Me? Oh, don't worry about me. I don't know much about them. Like, I just get beat by them. I don't really know much about them.
Go ahead. Okay, so Gold, you talk about tunes for a minute, and then when you're finished, then Chrome will pick it back up.
Okay. I think the real scary part for them for me is Doom Kingdom. This can protect them from card effects, and if they were to be destroyed, you could banish a card from the top of your deck instead, which prevents me from using a lot of my options. Since a lot of it requires me to either target or destroy, so I don't really have a lot else to tunes as I would like to. I also think that part of it is Cosmic Hand. Like I always gotta be scared of Cosmic Hand coming down. And it doesn't help either that Toon Bookmark can just protect it from like MST. So like I gotta use Cosmic or something to remove Toon World.
To be honest, I am kind of impressed that Toons. I guess understand why. Um, Mostly maybe because the one tool that you really need to destroy this deck is very widely played, which is Cosmic Cyclone. So in tournaments, for example, Cosmic Cyclone, if you are not playing the main deck, you should probably have it in the side. And a Cosmic Cyclone can just, if you remove Tomb Kingdom, the deck lost 60% of what makes it scary.
Yes.
Because then all the monsters can be destroyed. Um, and once the monsters are destroyed, the deck it has very little in uh, a way of recovery. Still, I think for me specifically, it's scary because this deck, as a Gravekeeper player, circumvents everything I try to do. They can just normal summon their big beaters, ignoring hidden temples. They do not care about the graveyard at all. They can search anything and everything. All their monsters are freaking huge and ignore your board, just attack directly.
Yes, that's also my problem. I can't really target most of their monsters, so my only target really is Toon Kingdom. And unless I got something like Cosmic Cyclone, it really shuts down a lot of my outs for the deck.
It really becomes a draw the out.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think if you do you have anything to add about tunes, Seraphi? because I
I
think
don't.
I'm pretty much. This is pretty much everything I get to say about tunes. I don't think it's gonna get hit, mostly because um, the deck itself is not that strong, and again, there's not much you can hit to make it bad without killing the deck. For
I don't
example,
think he's gonna get hit either. I was just merely saying like it's a really bad matchup for me.
same. I think, like for example, if you wanted to hit tunes, you could hit Dark Magician. But for example, if you put a limit 3 Magician, I don't care. I got literally 4 cards that search it.
Exactly. And it doesn't really help either that if you special summon something, they could just shuffle it back too with Toon Briefcase.
Hmm. And
So
Tomb
like
Briefcase does not need Tomb World to activate.
yes,
You can really see how Toon has the old way of designing cards. Because Toon Table of Contents and Briefcase would not be printed as is today.
oh definitely. It a lot of DM cards had to be made around the era they were, or they would never be printed today. If Pogri came out today, it would still end up like the current posse we have, like Pod Desires.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
back.
But Seraphi, I think we're pretty much wrapped up with this.
Yeah, that's
If
fine.
you want to add anything.
No, I don't. I appreciate you guys covering that. All right, Magic Keys. Someone hit first place with Magic Keys. Okay. All right, so this deck is. Oh, they're using pre-prep. That's fantastic. Okay. Magic Key is a Ritual Fusion, Xyz, and Synchro deck, and it focuses around Magic Key World, which is a +2 basically. It lets you draw a Magic Key monster, which will always be Mafteal, and then you also get to return a card from your hand to the deck to draw Maftea, which is a fusion and ritual spell at the same time.
I see.
Yep. Then they play ARA, Advanced Ritual Art, because they play a bunch of normal monsters. So you play cards like ARA, you'll send Luster Dragon and Shiny Black Sea from your deck to the graveyard to summon Magikey, Mechamortar, Garrus Glasser. Um, you can play Magikey Unlocking, which is a counter trap for spells and traps. You play Manju of the 10,000 Hands to draw whichever ritual monster you want. Betos Buster lets you draw any Magic card from your deck when it's ritual summoned. The Fusion monster lets you destroy all cards on the field. The Synchro monster lets you destroy a monster anytime your opponent summons it, as long as it matches the same attribute. And the Xyz monster lets you search and then send a monster to the graveyard if it's the same as a normal monster in your graveyard attribute. So you play a bunch of normal monsters that have different attributes. We have Earth, we have Wind, we have Dark, and then Light for Mafteal, and is there a Water?
I don't think they have a water.
Oh, the Xyz is the
Oh yeah,
water.
okay.
Xyz is the water, and the Synchro is the fire. Okay. Yeah, so you can easily get all the attributes in the graveyard, and then you just mess with people. It's kind of like a long drawn out combo deck. Is it good? I don't think so, not yet. But it will definitely see representation. This deck is extremely popular in Master Duel. So I think a
Yeah,
lot of people
Magic.
have been waiting for this, just like a lot of people have been waiting for Magical Muskets. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I think the Magic. I was one of the people who, when I saw Magic, he was like, "Oh, this is such a cool archetype." I like. Most people like the old school blue frames. I also really like the artwork and the implied lore of the Magic cards. The thing is, I know in Master Duel it's popular, and in TCG was popular for a little bit there, but I think it's mostly because of style. Because I've never seen Magic-E actually be like at a place where you say it's either a problem or even like rogue, maybe.
Yeah, it's not really good. It's just if you know what you're doing, you can combo a lot, and in a 20 card format, that's probably really good. So I think that
Yeah,
I think that people who put in the work to master this deck will be able to cog with it for many months to come. But everyone else is just gonna like try it, and they decide they don't like it because it's too combo heavy.
yeah, the skill floor is way too high, and I think it all boils down to it's a lot of combo, and the boss monsters, the end result, isn't necessarily explosive or very clear how your your win condition is.
Mm-hmm. Gold, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't think I have anything to that. I think y'all explained my thoughts very well.
Yep. And you already talked about Magic Keys a lot in the other video, so I understand that. Okay, last deck. Last and definitely not least, we have Live Twins with 2 first place, 1 second place, 4 2/8s, and a 16. 2 first place, I'm sorry. Okay, let's see.
Definitely a high contender.
Okay, so Live Twins is a Cyberse deck that focuses around these two monsters, Live Twin Zyla and Live Twin Kisakill. When you normal summon one, the other one comes out of your deck. You link them both off, and what you do is you will link one off. You will link one of them off into Evil Twin Lila. You activate Evil Twin Lila's effect and revive a Kisakill monster if you don't control it. You bring back the Cyberse Kisakill monster, and then link those two off into Evil Twin Kisakill. Then you pass your opponent, and at any point during their turn, Kisakill can activate her effect to revive a Lila monster from the graveyard. You will choose Evil Twin Lila, and when Evil Twin Lila is special summoned while you already control Kisakill, you can destroy one card on the field. So this gives you some good interruption during your opponent's turn. You can also play Ballista Squad, which is extremely good with Evil Twins. And with Ballista Squad, after you've summoned Lila, you can activate Ballista Squad and tribute Kisakill to destroy a card on your opponent's field. Then you activate Evil Twin Lila's effect, because you haven't activated it yet, revive Evil Twin Kisakill, and then Evil Twin Kisakill's effect activates. When she's summoned while you already control Lila, you draw a card. So it's an extremely good like combination of just control and making sure you can get through your opponent. The deck plays Offering to the Doom because Offering to the Doom is a good enough removal card, and they don't need to worry about skipping their draw phase because they have so much draw with Keyskill. So it's a really solid card. Live Twin Home lets you special summon one of these from the deck so that you have a continuous effect going on. And then you also have Evil Twin Present, which allows you to tribute one of your, or not tribute. You target one of your Kisakill or Lila monsters and give it to your opponent, and then you take one of their monsters and you keep it forever. So, let's say you give your opponent Lila, then you can take their, I don't know, Blue Eyes White Dragon. Blue Eyes trades into Lila. They take a bunch of damage. Then you can immediately revive Lila with Kisakill and get another pop. Or you can also target a set spell or trap your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck. So Evil Twin Present's pretty good. There's also the all-important Evil Twin GGEZ.
I love the name.
It is a fantastic name. Come on, DLM. Oh my god, DLM.
I think it might be easier to just type in GGEs.
No, hold on. Ah!
Bro, pile up the spec element.
What is up with DLM whenever we try to record?
I don't know. DLM does not like me. Evil Twin. What?
And they said no evil twins here.
Alright. GGE's. I'm not even on the right deck anymore.
You forgot because there's no star. You need a star to find it.
I can't. I should be able to see all the Evil Twin cards though. Oh. Hold on. You're right. That's the problem. Okay. Thank you, Gold.
If you put twin, you're only gonna see evil twins.
All right. Evil Twin GGEZ. You contribute one. It's a continuous trap card. You contribute one Kisakill or Lila monster, then activate one of the following effects. You can target one of your key skill or reliable monsters, and it gains attack equal to the original attack of the attributed monster till the end of the turn. Or when a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card on the field, you can negate that effect. So it literally just is a permanent Stardust Dragon that also lets
Well,
you tribute one of your opponent's monsters. What?
I was just thinking that the way you defeat this deck is you have to remove both evil twins at the same time.
That's right.
But if you have Dark Hole and they have that card, you can't.
Exactly. Yep. And of course, you also get to say GGEZ by activating it. So.
That is absolutely evil,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand why this deck is doing so well.
Well, people don't play this card, but they should. You should play this card as a one-of, search it with secret password, and then flip it right before you win, just to send a message. All right. Yeah. So that is the Evil Twin deck. It plays the skill that lets you summon Avermax, which is incredibly amazing.
And
If you
also,
go ahead.
no, I was only going to add that we haven't even touched home.
I said home. You can discard a card to special summon a monster from the
Okay,
deck.
never mind, never mind.
You can also play this with Ibli, which I recommend. Um,
To be extra toxic.
so Ibli, well, okay. Here's the thing though. When Ibli is summoned, you special summon a link monster from your graveyard. So Ibli is how you recover if your opponent destroys all your cards.
Ah, that makes sense.
You target a link monster in your graveyard, you special summon it to your field so that it points to this card, change its attack to 0, and negate its effects. So you normal summon Ibli, you revive Evil Twin Kill, then you can link Kill and Ibli into another Evil Twin Kill. Because unlike most link monsters, the Evil Twin Kill and Evil Twin Lila do not have requirements that prevent them from just linking back into themselves. So you link back into Evil Twin Kill, then you can immediately start reviving Lila and going into your place. So, and then of course you also Ibli lock your opponent. So I think Ibli is a fantastic option. She's a cyber monster. She's level 2. She follows all the same patterns that the Evil Twins do. So I feel like this card is getting slept on. But I mean, limit 3 traps are more important to people, I guess.
Okay, so I can definitely see this deck shooting up in the tier list.
Yep. And
'Cause,
then
it is very good.
yes. And then we also have the boss monster of the deck, Evil Twins Cacique and Lila, which cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by attributing 2 link monsters. If this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect. If your opponent controls 3 or more cards, they must send cards to the graveyard so they control 2 cards. So it is a evenly matched, but it locks you into 2 cards because you're playing against twins.
That makes sense.
Yes. You can only use this effect of Evil Twins, Kiesicle, and Lila once per turn. When you have a Kiesicle monster in your graveyard and you have a Lila monster in your graveyard, this card gains 2200 attack and defense.
Ouch.
So that's 4400 attack and 4400 defense.
Okay. Yeah, this is sadly not gonna get hit in this KC Cup.
No, it's not. And this will probably be this. Okay, this deck is extremely expensive because all these cards are these 2 cards are ultra rares and they are like the main starters. So what I think is going to happen is that this deck will start off as kind of represented, and then as the KC Cup goes on and people get more and more gems, they're going to go into this box specifically to buy this deck. And by the time the KC Cup is over, you're going to see a ton of Evil Twins.
Yeah, no, I can see this shooting up to tier 1 easily.
Yep, I look forward to it. I have no problems with that. Life Twins is a pure control deck. It's not good at OTKing, and the fact that it's not good at OTKing makes it interesting.
I also have no problem with it because, from what I'm understanding, Necro Valley does kind of ruins their plans if they don't destroy it immediately.
That's correct. Oh, also, this guy's not using it, but they can make good use of the Link 4 from the old box, Amphibious Swarm Ship Amblo Whale.
Yep.
Link 4, 2600 attack, gains 200 attack for each Link monster in the graveyard. So if you use these 2 to make it, then it's 3000 attack. If this card is destroyed, you can target a Link 3 or lower monster in your graveyard and special summon it, which immediately lets you start making Live Twin plays. And if a Link 3 or lower monster on the field is destroyed by a battle or card effect while this card is in the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to destroy 1 card on the field.
Yeah, no, Konami's gonna keep this one alive for a while,
Hmm.
specifically because now that we have a rush box in between before the next speed box,
Hmm.
uh, they're gonna want to make sure as many people dig through this to get all of the life twin support,
Yep,
and they might even just give us more evil twin support before hitting the deck.
I would like that. So we're waiting on Trouble Sunny, which is a Link 4 with 3,300 attack points, 2+ monsters, including an Evil Twin monster. As a quick effect, you contribute this card special summon up to 1 key skill and 1 Lila monster from your graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard and send 1 Evil Twin monster from your hand, deck, or face-up field to the graveyard to send 1 card on the field to the graveyard. You can only use each effect of Evil Twins double setting once per turn. Trouble setting once per turn. So um, you can basically you summon this card to like battle, and then you contribute it to bring both these monsters back, and then pop a card and draw a card because both their effects trigger at the same time. But more
Hmm.
importantly, what Evil Twin's Trouble Sunny does is she lets you send an Evil Twin from your deck to the graveyard. So this is how you put the Evil Twins Cacique and Lila in your graveyard. Because remember, you can summon it from the graveyard. So that's how you make sure that this big main deck monster is not a brick by milling it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun meta to have this because, like you said, I like these type of control strategies that cannot OTK because it gives you plenty of opportunity to respond.
Great Keepers.
Exactly. And if this deck wasn't absolutely expensive, I would definitely try and dig for it.
Ah, come on. What are you going to spend your gems on?
Rush.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, cool. Well, I think that's about it. We've talked about all the decks that are going to see play. We talked about the nerfs that we expect will happen. This is Seraphi. I was thrilled to have you all with me.